Today is Thursday, the 20th of August. Today in geometry, we looked at section 1-3, the second part, which we talked about midpoints. So I'll go ahead and share the screen, and we'll look at the whiteboard as we do each day. If you look, when I'm in one dimension here, I draw myself a line. So I've got a line here. This point here can be point A. This point here, let's say, can be point B. And I can say that point C here in the middle is the midpoint. C is midpoint of segment AB. Now, what that means, if I get the point here, right in the middle, this is point C, that means that AC equals CB. Now, so if A here, let's say the coordinates of A here are -3. And then the coordinates of B over here are 7. So the formula for finding the midpoint, and the midpoint is generally capital M. So we put it down here. So capital M equals, so we do x1, x sub 1 plus x sub 2 divided by 2. So in this case, we get equals parentheses -3 plus 7 divided by 2. So that's equal to 4 divided by 2, which is equal to 2. Now, if you look, so that means right here, the coordinates of point C are 2. And if you look, from -3 to 2 is 5. And from 2 to 7 here is also 5. So we got a point which is 2, and the results here, the 5 and the 5, kind of let us know that 2 is a good midpoint for those. When you do midpoints, if you draw pictures, you can tell when you look at your result. If I had subtracted here instead of adding, I would have gotten 7. So I would have gotten parentheses 7 minus a -3. So I put another set of parentheses in here, -3 divided by 2, which would have been equal to 10 divided by 2, which is equal to 5. And then if you look on my picture up here, 5 sits about right here. 5 sits about right there, and it's fairly obvious that 5 is not halfway between this -3 point and this 7 point. So I know that this right here is not a good answer. So when you draw pictures and you're doing midpoints, the picture will tell you if you got a good answer, okay? Now, So we'll erase this one-dimensional situation here. So we can erase this, right? And we'll go into a two-dimensional situation. So if we look two-dimensional now, remember we have a coordinate axis. Here's my y-axis, and here's my x-axis. Let's put a point up here. Let's say we got a point here, which is x1. This is x1 and y1. And then we get a second point up here somewhere, which is x2 and y2. Right now, if we draw the line between these 2 points, go from here to here, you can kind of look and see the midpoint should be somewhere about right in there, right? Now your formula once again here, you got M. So M is the formula, capital M is the midpoint. We got M equals. Now, you take the average of the x coordinates, so you get x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. So you're taking the average of the x coordinates and the average of the y coordinates. For instance, let's say this is a point which could be 2 and 2. Looks like it's about even. And let's say this point up here is 6 and 8. Right? 6 and 8. So my midpoint, if I come down here and substitute in my midpoint, capital M equals, right? I go back up here once again. Now, so it equals to x1, which is 2, plus x2, which is 6, over 2, and then y1, which is 2, plus 8, which is y2, over 2, and I get an answer here of 6 and 2 is 8 over 2, which is 4, and 10 over 2 is 5. So my midpoint here, the coordinates of this midpoint would be 4 and 5. Now, if you notice here, when you get an answer, you can tell that it's in the middle, but notice your x coordinates here. You go from 2 to 4, which is 2, and you go from 4 to 6, which is 2, so you're going the same distance each way there. You're going from 2 to 5, which is 3, and you're going from 5 to 8, which is 3. So that's a good test to see if the answer to your question or if you got the correct midpoints. Okay, now we'll stop sharing here. So if you check your homework, do your homework. Once again, if you have a question, if you run into a homework problem that you don't understand from looking at the text and looking at what I just did, then give me a call. Send me an email, and I'll get back to you and help you get over your problem. Thank you, and I'll see you tomorrow.